everyone, so on this video I wanted to show you my normal drawing process when doing caricatures or cartoon portraits here in Procreate. So just like most people who's gonna watch this video, just like you, I'm also kind of new to this program. So it's been a month since I started using Procreate, and the experience is really fun, and I could say it's a little bit of slow transition, transferring my experience using Photoshop, because I got a few years of experience using Photoshop in my paintings and illustrations, and I try to transfer those skills here. So whatever you're gonna see right now is all part of my learning process, so I want you to be part of it. So yeah, let's get started. I'm gonna create an A4 size canvas, and I'm gonna import my reference image here. So I'm gonna click the wrench icon, insert photo. I'm gonna click this guy. So I'm just gonna resize this image, and I just wanted to this part of the photo, so I'm just gonna delete everything by selecting the face and copy paste, going back to layers. I'm gonna delete the layer which I've copied from, make this a little bit bigger, and I'm gonna put it right here, and then I'm just gonna make some just a mark that this is the left side of the photo and this is the right side of it. Left, right, yeah. Well, I normally put that marking on my reference image, because so that at the end of your artwork, you don't want to end up your character to be like facing the the opposite way, or you don't want to end up the mole is like located to the other side of your drawing. So yeah, it kind of helps you to remember which side is which. So I'm gonna create a new layer, and I'm gonna select a brush here. So for my sketching, I kind of like sketching brushes here. So there are some pencil-like brushes that you could use. Usually I'm using 6B pencil for my dirty sketch or the rough sketch, and I'm going to change the color to brush. Make sure you are selected on layer number 2, which is your sketching layer. You don't want to end up drawing your reference image. Test it, test. All right, we're all good. I'm going to change my background color to gray. Yeah, this kind of helps me a little bit when working on a little bit dim background, as long as it's not white, right? Because it might hurt your eyes when you're drawing for a long period of time. So alright, before I hit some skull shape right there, or the circle for the skull, and then putting some marks for the face, like the nose, stuffs like that, you could do it the usual way, right? Using the shapes and the marks, but usually on my process, kind of used to starting with the eyes, but before I hit some strokes there, I'm gonna observe the photo. So the fun thing about making caricature is you don't need to like get the exact look of it. Like you don't need to draw a photorealistic image just like what you see in the photo, right? because it's a caricature. It's supposed to be fun and exaggerated. So that's the eyebrow part, although there's not so much eyebrows on his face, right? Because, or there might be some, it's just that the color a little bit blended in the face, so it seems like he's like kind of losing some hairs in the eyes, right? So I'm gonna hit the nose bridge here. You could see the nose bridge is a little bit like, it's not straight, so it's a little bit curved, so that you could exaggerate a little bit. And the nose, yeah, his nose is pretty big, right? Not that big, but kind of match his facial feature, right? A big nose with a big skull, right? So for the eyes, okay. So you notice my other hand's always like ready to like double tap to, tap the screen to undo, because yeah, I do it all the time. Like I can't make like perfect strokes in just one single, brush like that. Sometimes I need to do it again, do it over, and which is okay, right? Okay, so that's the eyes, and then I'm gonna try to make the other one. And do the left eye. Okay. So there's a little bit of space here. So that's what I'm gonna do here as well. I'm just gonna move this part, using the free hand. Move it a little bit here. And I'm just gonna draw the nose here. Pretty big nose. All right. So here's the one of the most important part when you are doing portraits or like this caricatures, and if you're using a reference image as your reference, right? So you need to do some corrections, like for example here, I'll just go to my wrench icon here, go to my canvas and flip horizontal, which will allow you to flip your image in the opposite direction. That's why I put some markings here that, the normal way is on the other side, right? So yeah, I kind of flip it just to see that some parts here are imbalanced. So this part of the eye should be a little bit lower, or this part should be a little bit higher, right? Because if you could see, if you notice, so the face, the facial feature, or the eyes is on that direction. So yeah, you need to flip your canvas, time to time, and do some corrections as you go through your sketch. Can remove the eye bags and make it maybe a little bit bigger, more. I'm gonna make the nose, or I'm gonna move it right here and do some lines here. Okay. All right, so as you can notice, right, the head is like, I'm imagining a bulb, right, something like that, which you could like use as a reference when doing the whole, you know, the whole shape of the face. So, which I'm just gonna do that later. Just gonna finish some details here at the cheeks. I'm gonna, so the eyebrow should be moved right here a little bit. Gonna make the head. So yeah, I think it's kind of cool to split my screen into two, right? So I have my real-time view and the screencast view, you know, for you to see the actual gestures that I'm doing when drawing or making the strokes. Okay. Maybe I'm gonna fix this part here. I'm gonna erase it a little bit. And then cheeks here. Head. Yeah, I think it's more kind of proper if you're gonna draw the shapes first. It's just that, yeah, I'm just showing you my usual style. So probably I could do that on the next video. So I'm just gonna select this part right there, and gonna put the mold, ears pretty big as well. So yeah, I could see the head is big, nose is big. So some facial hairs, lips. If you think you need to balance some things or there's some proportion that you need to correct, flip it. Because yeah, when you're they said when you're drawing something on a single side, or if you're just working on like the left side of the photo, you're not gonna see those in proportion unless you flip the image. So yep, liquify. I'm just gonna push some parts here. Oh yeah, okay, I'm gonna push it a little bit the ears as well, so you could resize the brush. Let's pull it right here a little bit. So I'm trying to make this head a little bit bigger, just like the original image. Okay, and okay, so I'll try to finish the face here. So I'm just gonna do some, hair or the beard here, this part, and the lips a little bit thinner. So yeah, we have a pretty good start here. Now, what you could do is to create another layer to overlay your sketch with a much cleaner sketch or line art. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna double tap a layer, adjust the opacity to as long as you can see it, 30, and on a new layer do some sketching again, right? Or probably if you wanted your sketch to be more like sharp, you could use other brushes, such as under the inking you could use the technical pen. Okay, which I'm gonna use. Okay, technical pens, just like one of my favorite tools or brush here in Procreate as well. This kind of gives you a good sharp smooth stroke with a pretty decent amount of pressure on the tip. Depends on how you put weight on your brushing. So I'm gonna use that size and do my outline. Okay, some wrinkle here, but here I'm not gonna worry about making a perfect line art, because on the coloring part of this video it'll be, or the outline will kind of blend, or the strokes will kind of blend to the overall coloring of the image. So I'll try to show it to you later. And some strokes right there. And while you're on this part of your drawing, you could still do some, exaggeration on some parts of the image, or corrections. For example, I'm just gonna press some parts here. Instead of drawing the eyes in that part, if you see that it should be on this part, you could do it, right? Or you could just outline it for a bit, and you just move it with the lasso tool or the freehand. could see the eyelid is really thick, right? It's kind of indicate that this part of the image is kind of pushed a little bit. Okay. Alright, gonna flip it. Liquefy. That's the lip part here. The thing about my style of caricature though is it's not that much exaggerated, just like other artists that I really admire so much, like how they uh, um, end up making their caricatures like really distorted without, you know, losing the likeness, which in my case I really didn't practice that style. And most of my, you know, commissioned works or some people might not gonna appreciate that exaggeration, so I stick on this style, like a little bit distorted but not that much, still like a portrait style. So this part of the, or this beard will be colored white later, so I'm not gonna, you know, stress myself doing some line arts on this part of the image. So almost done. Okay. Normally I put some line markings, you know, so that I know where to place my shadow later. Although I have my reference image as guide, right? You know that these are the dark parts, these are the dark parts, this is the highlighted parts. Well, things kind of more accurate for me if I'm putting my lines here, that this a bit the shadow on that part, that area. This. Okay. And the eyes. All right. So I'm not gonna worry about the body, or yeah, I could make a simple neck here, and usually it's a bubble head portrait, so I make the head bigger and the rest of the parts of the body smaller. to look like cute and fun, right? Alright, so that's the head. Flip it back. So that is my sketch, and overlaid with a much cleaner line art. Then let's proceed to the coloring part. So I got my sketch and outline, but I'm just gonna turn off the sketch layer and make a new layer for my blocking of colors, or the for my colors. So I'm just gonna drag the layer number 4 beneath layer number 3, and I'm just gonna draw a selection around the image using freehand. You don't need to, make exact selection around the face, because you can erase it later. So I'm just gonna make my base shape here, which is this. There you go. And then I'm just gonna fill it with layer number 4 with let's say, normally I use a flesh skin tone, which is somewhere here around this saturation here, near the red, something that is a little bit dim or dark, right? So I'm just gonna fill it here. So that's my base color. Okay, and then I'm just gonna hit my layer number 3, double tap, and then adjust it a little bit to kind of blend the outline to my base layer, because I don't want to end up having a really black outline, right? And then it'll be easier for you to blend your stroke if it is a little bit blended in the first the first step of your coloring, right? So opacity a little bit, and then I'm just gonna create a new layer, and then tap it and make it clip to the layer number 4, or make a clipping mask. Okay, so if I'm gonna use like some brushing, so I'm gonna use, under the painting, I'll try to use the flat brush here. So on this demo, I'll try to use the default brushes here. So for the coloring, I'll try the flat brush. It's kind of so I'm gonna make the color a little bit darker, but instead of dragging up and down my color picker here, I'm also I'll try to adjust the saturation as I adjust my darkness, because it'll be more nicer to look, or the colors will be will end up looking good if you're playing around with the saturation. So for example, if you wanted to darken a little bit, so you drag that a little bit to the red and drop it here, and then if you want to make it lighter, you can drag it going to the orange and then going up, something like that. So I'm just gonna eyedrop the base color here, and I'm gonna adjust the saturation here and make it a little bit darker, and then I'm gonna do my brushing here. So what I'm gonna do is check out those darker parts or shaded parts of the image, and then I'm gonna hit those parts as well. So here, here, and some here, here. So be careful on your pressure. And then here. So usually the shaded parts here at the base of your drawing will be the eyes, the nose, the lips, and the cheeks, because that's where the indent of the head is, right? Just gonna make the brush a little bit smaller and then make the shading here to make the nose bridge. Alright, you can make your brush a little bit bigger if you wanted to hit some wider, if you wanted to have like wider strokes or brush. Make it smaller if you're gonna hit some, like some parts in the ears, some parts here, the lips, some of the chin. And then I'm just gonna colorize some of the beard as well. I'm just gonna change that later to white. Alright. And I'm just gonna make uniform gray, dark gray here. Just to kind of separate it from, that this is the jacket part. But usually I don't messing up with the body at the like beginning of my coloring, because I could do that later, but I'm just gonna do it anyways. Make it a little bit darker. I'm just gonna make it a little bit smaller. Okay. I'm just gonna save that number 3, number 2 brush. There you go. Going back here, I'm gonna pick. So I already set up my eyedropper as my the button here, the home button. So I'm just gonna hold that and then tap it on my screen, and then you could see the eyedropper. You could actually set that under which preference. I'll try to give you the link for that process, or you could just simply tap it and then the color dropper will pop up. So I'm just gonna eyedrop that part, and then, well, you could do this. So on a new layer, you could actually make or do what the common or most of the artists doing, like they're making some colors here, their palettes, and then make it a little bit darker. Yeah, you could actually do that, so you know you'll not be stressing out adjusting the saturation later if you want something that is lighter. Right, adjust it here. There you go. There you go. Going back here. So whenever I need a specific color, I'll just gonna grab it from here and then brush. Okay. I'll try to hit some lighter shades here. So that is the light part of the image. So that's where my highlights. So that's where I'm hitting my brushes as my highlights. So here, alright. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'll try to blend the stroke now to my color layer by merging it. So this layer number 3, I'm just gonna duplicate it. Yeah, so that we have a backup. I'm just gonna put the layer number 3 underneath layers, hide it, and then this I'm just gonna merge it down. So layer number 5, and the outline is merged. They're on one layer now. So if you will do some shadings or colorings, for example here, if I'm gonna hit somewhere here the eyebrow, you could see that the outline will kind of disappear and it will kind of blend to the background layer. Right. So I'm gonna try to hit those wrinkle outline. Hey. So I got 1, 2, 3. Well, oops. So yeah, I'll try to not to split or cut or edit the video as much as possible. So it's kind of a little bit of real-time recording. So there might be some, you know, long period of silence. So if you think you're kind of bored and this stuff, you could, you know, fast forward. You know, you could drag that playhead at your screen and go to some specific parts of this video. So yeah, the wrinkle part kind of disappears. I'm gonna return it back. Going back on the other side, I'm just gonna finish some shadings here and here as well. This should be a little bit darker to kind of give, or it'll reveal more of the cheekbone. And if you're kind of you wanted to have like a much cleaner look of your sketch, right now you could go to your layer number 4 and erase this excess part of the base color, right? So you could use the eraser and erase those parts. So whether you got like experience before in digital illustration, or whether you are a beginner in digital drawing and Procreate is your first program to use, I think this video kind of gives you somehow idea on how to start your works, or how to like pick your own style of drawing. I'm just going to erase this part. It's okay. We're not going to stress that much on the body, as I've said. All right. Yep. Yeah, normally this part will be, you could do this at the last part of your drawing, but well, it's nice to show this in a little bit cleaned version. Yep. Okay. Going back on my coloring layer, which is layer number 5, I'll try to make or pick that lighter color there and brush it on the edge of the head here. Oops, not that much hard, not too much hard, like just the right amount of pressure, because you don't want to end up having it like solid highlight, right? So practice with your pressure. I'm gonna pick up the color. Alright, so it'll be a coloring process is one of the longest part, or the most time consuming part of portrait. I mean making or drawing a portrait. Whether you're making a portrait or backgrounds. Just gonna pick that, put it on my nose here. Make it a little bit smaller. It's just, I'm not that much a fan of this flat brush, although I think you could adjust the settings. Just it's too big. It's too big when I stroke or make some strokes. But I'm for sure you could always change that under setting. But for my month of drawing experience here in Procreate, I didn't much visit on the settings part of the brush. I'm just using whatever, the default. I'm not messing much around with the settings for now, because I am happy on what they are for now. Here, so you could still see some outlines, right? But for the forehead, for the this part of the head, the skull, some of the strokes has been blended already, right? So yeah, you need to like overlay it with the strokes and then followed by another strokes to kind of blend it to the background. See? Right? I could use that hard shade of brown and then make my outline a little bit thinner. And then for some parts of the portrait, it is much better if you could still see a little bit of outline. For example, the eyelid here. So I'm gonna select that part of the color, blend it here, select the darker shade, spread around here, select this the most darker shade, right? Or I could make it maybe 1. Yep. Or 2. Yeah, I think 2 is good. Yeah. So yeah, it might take you some time to kind of get that blending. Of your brushes. It's not like in just one single brush, like you really can't get that like perfect kind of stroke, right? You need to kind of overlap it with other shade of, you know, you can need to brush it again and again and again to kind of get of what it should be. So where's my reference here? I'm gonna put some light colors here and here and here. And gonna hit it again with a big brush of, because yeah, it's obviously this part of the head is so bright. I mean, it's not that bright, but it's the most like brightest part of the head, right? So that's should, or that's where your, you know, most brightest color should be as well. Let's try to blend the second eye. So here on this part, maybe I could just select a little bit of like grayish kind of or gold kind of color, and then make it a little bit small, and I'll try to brush here. Oops. Yeah, it's so thick. Or I could select other brush here. Padani. Nope. I haven't, honestly, I haven't used this brushes. It's my first time. Yeah, this flat brush is my first time to use this. So I'm thinking of other brushes that looks good. It's because the flat brush is really thick when you brush it. Yeah, could work. No, yeah, I'm just gonna fix that later. Going to my flat brush. Just gonna blend that part. Oops, flat brush. Alright. So I'm just trying to make some shading on this part of the nose as well, because it's a little bit indent. Alright. I'm just gonna use probably this pencil brush on my some of the details here. Yeah, I think so. I could use it here. Oops, just on those hairs. So I'm just gonna go back to my flat brush here. Here. Yeah, I'm kind of having a little bit of hard time using this flat brush, so well, at least now I know, right? It's not that it's not good. It's not a good brush, but maybe it's not my kind of brush. Let's make some darker shades here. So for the lips, still on the red shade, I'm gonna make it a little bit brown, because of course you don't want red lips, especially for men. and the darker shade of that color for the upper lip. Usually upper lip is a little bit darker than the lower lip. Yeah. And I'll try to, yeah, this eyebrow really keeps bugging me, so I'm just gonna use the real thin flat brush, and maybe number 1, and I'm just gonna pull some strokes here. Okay, make it a little bit lighter. Later. There you go. Not bad. Not bad. Alright. So here comes the eyes. Or yeah, the eyes. So for the eyes, I'm gonna start it with a gray color. Normally I don't use white as my base color for the eyes, because it's difficult for me to blend some darker and lighter shades if I'm going to use the white directly. So I'm just going to use a gray here, then followed by a little bit of darker shade of gray drawn to the top, like upper part there, like to give the eyes a little bit of depth, right? And I'm gonna use my darker shade right there. I'm gonna brush it like right at the bottom here. This kind of gives more depth to the eyes. And then of course I'm gonna make it a little bit not black, probably gray, or could not totally see what's the actual color of the eyes, but I'm just gonna start it with a gray. And here number 2 brush. So I make it a little bit gray, not black, because here is the black part. The pupil, yeah, I think is that the pupil. I forgot what part is that. Well, that dark spot will be the, kind of gives you a little bit of details on the eyeball if you put that pupil in the middle. And here you could play around with the color. For example, if you want to do it like a golden or brown eyes, so I could zoom in and shade it a little bit. Although this kind of detail will not totally can be seen, but I'm just going to overlap it with the brown, and then hit it again with the black. See? Okay. And pour some highlights just to once you put some highlights on your eyes, it will kind of give your drawing a little bit of life now. for the beard part, I'm just gonna pick that color and then make it a little bit lighter again. Flip it. I'm gonna blend the eye bags here. And yeah, just try to observe where is the light part, where is the dark part. So here's the highlight. Wherever there is the like I'm gonna make color, I'm gonna give more detail on the eyes here, because yeah, I think it needs more outline. So here I'm just trying to add more details to the highlights. Sometimes I'm pulling out different from this saturation here. I try to jump on the blue part because it's and like a mint like a mint green or mint blue, sky blue shade, lighter shade, and then I'm just gonna brush it somewhere here to give a little bit of more, you know, saturation, and that kind of light is like an it kind of gives you a more natural kind of luminance. Great. There you go. I kind of blend that part of the ear, so I need to put back the dark shade to kind of have that muscle again, right? All right. So let's add more depth to the lips. Maybe that shade from the red. Make it the smallest. Number 2. Number 1. All right. And a little bit of blending here because the upper lip should be a little bit thinner. There you go. Lighter shade. You can play around with the highlights and shadows, trace around the outline part, and then those outline kind of disappears, but still the details will remain. Stand. So yeah, there we go. That's most of it actually. So it's just like more on adding details to the highlights and where the shadow is, or if the brush is like if there's a like thinner brush than this, we could put some like more details, just like well, it's okay to have this kind of detail, right? But if you wanted to put more like emphasis or more lines or stroke to the eyes, you could maybe use under inking, you could use the technical pen and then use that to put some details for the eyes. But if I'm gonna use that, yeah, it could be. So here you could put some other eye details, right? But for now I'm good with the result. I'm happy with the result. A little bit of line there, and there you go. We got Emma Trot. So I hope you kind of enjoyed the video a little bit. So at least it'll kind of give you an idea on how to begin with your drawings and practice with your brushes. So I'm looking on making more demo videos as I go through this learning process. So if you guys have some like questions, you could feel to ask me, or if you got some comments that you think that It might kind of help my drawing process. Please enlighten me. I need those advices. Yeah. All right. See you later. Oops, I forgot. I almost forget the most important detail here. The mole. There you go.